Hi, I'm Coach Jessie. I am the health coach and co-founder of the Detox and the Sex Fix and Hope Beyond Fibers Elimination programs. And I'm here with
Dr. Amsu. We are from Electric Food, Electric Health. I'm an endocrinologist and a herbalist.
Hi, I'm Dr. Amun. I am a holistic doctor, nutrition specialist, representing Electric Health, Electric Food.
And I'm Michael Larty, also representing Electric Health and Electric Food and the team with all the campaigns. I'm the head of marketing and operations. I'm the guy in the background, but I'm here today hopefully to lend a hand to these wonderful people in answering your questions.
Yeah, and we're really here to talk about our new campaign, which is Kill the Pill. And we say it's new because we've done a very concerted effort in educating, and the purpose is to educate and empower women and families around the world regarding the dangers of birth control, specifically the birth control pill, because there are many nuclear effects that are not being exposed, that women and families are not aware of. And that is why collectively we launched this campaign. So one of the key things people don't know is that 11.5 million people in the US alone, women and girls alone, are prescribed the pill and are on the pill. However, only like when you talk about people who are on it for contraception versus people who are on it for non-contraceptive reasons, we're looking at upwards of 35% of women and girls are actually prescribed it for what we call PMS-related reasons, which include heavy bleeding, heavy cramping, hormonal acne, bloating, which are the top four, and then there are many other reasons. And then when you look at collectively the birth contraception options such as the patch, NuvaRing, that number of people who are using these birth control methods for non-contraceptive reasons actually skyrockets to north of 55%, right? And the issue is that when they're being prescribed these for these non-contraceptive reasons, they don't know the risk factors that are associated with it. The risk factors that include everything from neurological to actual, of course, endocrine disruptors. And I actually want to turn it over to Dr. Amsu to really unpack that, because it's a very critical, important information for you to know that when you're taking the pill for, it could be heavy cramping, severe cramping. It could be the heavy bleeding. You don't realize the things that actually you are now making yourselves at risk for.
So we don't want to diminish how severe, you know, and how debilitating cramps can be, how embarrassing and how awkward or, you know, impossible it is if you're bleeding heavily. If you're bleeding heavily to the point where you can't even leave your house. There's a lot of women who, you know, who throw up, they vomit during their cycle. Constantly, right? And a lot of women can't even have a proper relationship. We're not here to diminish how severe that is, but the reason for that is hormonal imbalance. That's the main reason. So if that's the case, that should be addressed, not trying to, you know,
treat the symptom.
Put a band-aid over one of the symptoms, like, you know, hormonal acne. The ramifications of that is what we're dealing with. So when you take the contraceptive pill or the birth control pill or any of the other, you know, the patch or whatever, what the job of those things are to do is to fool or trick your endocrine system into believing that you're pregnant. Right? And this is done by using synthetic estrogen and progestin. Right? So your gonadotropin releasing hormone or your pituitary gland is fooled, right, into believing you're pregnant. So it does not release follicle stimulating hormone or luteinizing hormone. Now, this doesn't sound like much, but in the scope of everything, this is an endocrine disruptor. So everything that's balanced about your body has now been thrown into disarray by synthesized steroids. So we have to understand that estrogen is a steroid. The same way you see a bodybuilder, you're always on steroids. Estrogen is a steroid,
an anabolic,
which is a catabolic steroid, right? So estrogen is a catabolic steroid which has the reverse effect of an anabolic steroid, which builds you up. So it actually breaks down muscle, breaks down tissue, erodes bones, you know, especially in a synthesized format. So over a duration of a long period of time, the effect on the body is absolutely devastating. So all these different forms of contraception, they all have specific side effects, or they share side effects, and then there's specific side effects that each of them have. So when we're dealing with the birth control pill, the one a day that ladies take, it's been associated with depression. Long-term use causes heavier bleeding or irregular bleeding, infertility, clotting. It's associated with cervical cancer, breast cancer.
Well, that's a key thing there, because the birth control pill has now actually been classified as a carcinogen by the World Health Organization.
Right.
So that cannot be glossed over. So that's why it's leading to increased, you know, actually occurrences of, like you were just saying, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, cervical cancer.
Right. So with ovarian, and I just want to make this clear, with ovarian cancer, it's been reported and studies have been done to show that it actually can help to reduce ovarian. But the main two here are breast cancer and cervical cancer. And the reason why with cervical cancer is that the cervical cells, right, are left vulnerable to infections such as HPV.
Right.
And HPV is the #1 cause for cervical cancer. So, you know, when we're dealing with blood clotting now, and now we're
that's
moving
a major
into,
one.
Right, blood clotting.
Major.
You know,
life threatening.
Extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
Right, embolism. It's all about embolism. You know, with heart strokes, you know, this is a major issue. You don't want, you know, think about it. Let's just say you get onto the pill because you had cramps and it was debilitating. Now you're putting your life at risk, whereas there was a pain, and, you know, again, we're not diminishing that pain, but now you're at risk where a stroke, now you might not be able to use half of your body, or you could
just
die.
a story here. When we launched the campaign in our Breakfast Club interview last month, and you can watch it right at thedetoxnow.com/kill-the-pill. You can watch the full interview. We were hit with a flurry of, in the comments, in the DMs, emails, the barrage was amazing. Testimonies, people saying, oh my God, I actually just went, one woman, and I shared her story, if you see it on my Instagram at Coach Jessie, she specifically said she had just gone to a co-worker's funeral, okay, because the woman had just, she developed a blood clot after being put on the birth control pill. So these are real stories. And literally, there's so many women who were like, I actually was put on the birth control pill, and she shared how 2 years later, she's still dealing with blood clots from having been on birth control.
And the dangerous thing about blood clots, you know, they're silent. You don't know, you know, pulmonary embolism, for instance. You could be out, you could be thinking you're energetic, you're healthy and fit.
You just fall out.
You just fall out. You know, pulmonary embolisms kill a whole bunch of people every year. Now, the risk factor has increased. It increases when you're on the birth control.
Of the pill.
Can I just add something as well? It's talking about stories. Some of the responses we got from their first interviews. We were amazed by how many people, how many women openly wrote to us and told us that they had suicidal thoughts, suicidal tendencies when on the pill. And through research, we know this, but this is, you know, women opening up now. No one's ever approached them to
tell them why.
So this is a revelation for a lot of people, the fact that we're bringing this to their attention. They're opening up about issues no one even thought about.
And here's the crazy thing about it, is that it's a law. By law, they're supposed to be told what can happen. So when you're dealing with depression, it ain't that. Let's not diminish what depression is. It's depression, you know, you're actually dealing with parts of the brain, right? You know, specifically the posterior cingulate cortex, right? This shrinks. There's two parts of the brain, glands in the brain that shrink when you're on birth control, right? This particular one, the posterior cingulate cortex, if it's damaged, or when it is damaged, Alzheimer's, depression, suicide, memory loss, you know, ADHD, you know, So the depression
brain
is the
tumors.
first sign
Well,
of brain damage. One of the first signs. So this is nothing to be.
And again,
don't mean to interrupt, but one of the things that was alarming is that when we did the interview with the Breakfast Club and we brought this, a lot of the response, it was that people was suffering in silence.
Yes.
And they didn't realize this was the cause. So what I picked up from it was they're taking a pill for whatever reason, and they've got these health conditions or they're suffering from this health, but no one was joining the dots together. Like,
Right.
that was the
They
correlation.
wouldn't say it was a direct reason.
So, right.
They wouldn't say that's
what,
the reason.
what happened is that
feeling
now the doctors, women are gaining weight. They're gaining weight. They're like, where's all this weight gain coming from? Because they don't realize the pill was disrupting the endocrine system, disrupting the thyroid, things like that. There was no
direct connection
to what it was. So now we came out and we said it. This is where we got flooded. Like, so this is what's really going on. This is the reason why, and that's what we're here today to say. Look, we're joining the dots together to show you that the campaign "Kill the Pill" is literally kill the pill before it kills you.
So a lot of people are asking, what is a recommended birth control option then?
So before we even go, because that's going to be a whole conversation around that, it's very important. Another thing I don't want to get lost is the fact that it's also directly related to development of fibroids, thyroid issues, polycystic ovarian syndrome. We talked about infertility as well as endometriosis.
Right.
It's very critical because there are a lot of women who've been put on the pill because of irregular periods. But then in the meantime, in fact, one of our women in our program, Rochelle Baines, she was on the Breakfast Club with us last time. She shared her whole story. She was put on the birth control pill at the age of 16 because she had severe cramps, severe bleeding, and hormonal acne. For 10 years, about a decade of her life, she thought everything was good because her symptoms seemed like they were going away.
Right.
Her skin cleared up. She said on the pill, she no longer, had the heavy bleeding. But then when she got off the pill, she found out not only was that just a mask, okay, because it was masking those symptoms, but now she had horrid developed fibroids. They were massive that developed in the background. And now she was dealing with infertility, okay? So understand that many women who are facing these issues, or now their thyroid, all of a sudden their thyroid now is hyperactive or hypoactive, right? They're facing those kind of issues. They don't realize, many women, when we're doing our consults, were you ever on the pill? We see that's a trend.
Right.
That has been a consistent thread. And the thing about it is, they say, well, they were putting on at 14 or 13, and we were talking about this yesterday, how, estrogen being the catabolic steroid, which is really the main, estrogen dominance being the root cause of all of these issues. When you're not dealing with the root cause, you're masking the symptoms. And what we're saying is, look, we want to pull back and educate you on what the root cause of the estrogen dominance is, and it's the stress, it's the diet, and the pollutants such as the drugs.
Right.
But the diet, which we talked about, the lifestyle, many of these girls have heavy cycles because their diet is just what their family knew. They thought, it's just in my family. No, heavy cycles are not just in your family. It's because it is what the diet that you guys grew up eating, or it's the way you guys process stress. You have a very high stress environment, just the way your family processes arguments, or the way you guys process very high pressure. A lot of social factors that we want you to understand. And just putting the pill on it is actually going from the frying pan into the fire. So we want you to be aware of that. Now, I know that we talked about neurological, we talked about psychological, we talked about the endocrine disruptor, the anti-nutrient factors. I want to make sure we don't lose that.
Okay.
That's a big part of the metabolism, right?
Right, massive. So here's one of the things what happens, right?
This is also
disrupts by being an anti-nutrient factor. What does this mean? Vitamin B, vitamin B6, B12, vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin D, all these situations, because these vitamins are made inside the body. Our liver processes nutrients that come in, it produces. When these nutrients are blocked, we cannot produce these essential vitamins. They're vital.
To the organs.
Vital to the organs, so every system in the body.
Vitamin E is very vital to your mitochondria.
Right. So this is the situation what we're dealing with. Anti-nutrient factors means that you can eat and eat and eat and you're not getting any
Any of the
development,
minerals, any of the
anything
nutrients.
to help your body to develop and to operate efficiently. So now we're dealing with dysfunctions
How
and
does that
deficiencies.
connect? What's the connection between the what's the connection between the birth control pill and the anti-nutrient factors? Does it just disrupt your body's ability to absorb it? Is that what you're
It
saying?
it disrupts the body's ability to
Absorb those
metabolize,
nutrients,
to digest
So
and
it throws
to
off your
metabolize. The metabolism is thrown way off, way off. So another thing with metabolism, when we're dealing with the thyroid gland, right? So when you're on birth control, understand it increases white blood cells. Increases white blood cells. There are so many different types of white blood cells, but let's deal with the thyroid hormone globulin, right? What thyroid hormone globulin does, it attaches to the thyroid gland and blocks thyroid stimulating hormone, which is produced by the hypothalamus, right? In order to wake up the thyroid gland into producing
its job.
thyroid hormone, which helps with metabolism too. And metabolism is basically how your body uses, processes food for energy. Either it stores it for
So
later,
that's very important.
or it uses it as energy right now.
Because growing up, people thought my metabolism just means it's how fast I eat, how
fast I burn.
fast I burn.
Burn off energy.
And that is so little of
Right.
what that
Much broader
means,
than
right?
So metabolism is how your body utilizes nutrients
Right.
to effectively allow your body to function efficiently.
So if
Right.
somebody's metabolism is slow, is shut down, or slow, or breaking down,
Breaking
what
down.
things can they expect?
Right, so this is the thing, again, let's go back to the thyroid hormone globulin. It's a white blood cell that attaches itself to the thyroid and blocks the receptors, attached to the receptors, thyroid TSH receptors that switches on your thyroid gland to do its job,
Okay.
right? So it doesn't do its job. It not doing its job
Means what? To the
means
everyday
this
person?
now. Now the body starts to produce more thyroid stimulating hormone, right? Because the thyroid isn't switching on. Now the body now is not processing or utilizing the energy, so it stores all that.
Weight gain happens.
Right. All that is stored as fat. So let's not call
That's
it
not
weight.
weight, it's
It's
fat.
fat.
Right. White
In
adipose
fact,
tissue.
white adipose tissue fat
Toxin.
is a haven for toxins,
Right.
bacteria, virulence, all kinds
So
of pathogens and
diabetes, like what are some of
right.
the
So,
diseases?
and another thing that comes along with that, with white adipose tissue, comes with more white blood cells, and that's where we start moving into autoimmune
Right.
situations.
Increase of
Conditions
estrogen,
like what
selenium,
diseases would you say? So
diabetes.
Well, just with the thyroid alone, you've got hypothyroid or hyperthyroid, you've
Right.
got arthritis, you've got, diabetes,
Gout.
diabetes is, they say it's a metabolic and an
And-
autoimmune disease. So we're looking at both of these things being produced.
Now I know we wanted to ask because really a key question is what we do when we want to use it for contraceptive reasons. Okay.
I don't want to get pregnant.
And we want to manage that process because we understand, let me be clear, this is not an effort to take choice away from women. And I need to make that very clear. This
Right.
is not a political or religious or ethical specific position. That what we're looking to do is educate you about what the ramifications are of what you're dealing with. That's a critical piece, right? But understanding that, you want to know, all right, so now what are the options if I don't want to
What are the
engage in
alternatives?
these? What are the alternate choices, Dr. Amon?
Well, basically, in the Bible, it tells you no sex before marriage. So
Okay.
stop now, I'm only joking.
So
No,
switches off.
yeah, everyone's just like getting off
there's
the-
nothing wrong with abstinence. It's actually the highest form of birth control, but most people want to know about
No,
other
no,
options.
definitely. That was just a joke.
Yeah.
So there's a number of things, a number of options that you can have. One of them is an app called Glow, right? It's a
GLOW.
GLOW,
Okay.
Glow app you can get on Android or the Apple phone. Now, what this app does, it basically tells you when you are fertile, okay? And it works by you putting in as much information about your cycle, how long your cycle is, your weight, the days you feel like you're ovulating, things of that nature. And then it tells you this is when you're fertile. So you know right there not to have sex at this time.
So that's
I
is that called
understand.
the ovulation method?
That's the
Managing
ovulation.
your
Right.
ovulation
Because
calendar.
right. So
Also
we know
called fertility.
right. We know that in a woman that's the highlight of her arousal when she's ovulating. That's when she's more aroused than ever. However, if you don't want to have a child, okay, and what we're giving you is a couple of options. So that's one option with the app. The second one is the basal thermometer that you can get. And you can pick that up.
Thermometer?
Yeah, you can pick that up from pharmacies sort of like Walgreens or other pharmacies, CVS. And what this is, it basically checks the temperature. Now, when a woman is ovulating, the steroid or the hormone that's really potent at this particular time is progesterone. And that is because it's titled the heat, or because that's what happens. A woman's body temperature alters, it goes higher, and the
Where the term in heat comes from.
that's where that term in heat, right?
Yeah.
And that's the hormone. And actually, progesterone is known as the heat hormone because that's what it does. So you would insert that inside, and the light will turn green, will be an indication of
We're
your
talking
fertile.
vaginally.
Vaginally,
Okay.
right? And that's one method. That's another option. The third one is a little bit more intimate. Okay, this is where you'll take your two fingers and you'll insert that into the vagina, and that is the
Mucus test?
the mucus test or the cervical mucus. Now, when you're ovulating, the woman's again not just developing heat, but it also swells and it produces a discharge, which is gooey, like
Like
when you put it between your two fingers, right?
It's like snot.
I wouldn't want to say snot, but it's like snot
Or
or
okra.
okra, right? And it basically stretches. The texture will stretch between two fingers like glue. At this point, that's when the woman is more fertile. Okay, these are just some of the options that has no side effects. However, it leads you to learning to know your body and also the partner that you're with, your husband, because the responsibility has to go into the men as well. Okay, so if you're with your wife, your fiance or long-term girlfriend, it's your responsibility also to know these things and to present these options with her. Now, you might say,
Is
well,
that the same for like side chicks?
side chicks, this guy.
But
One second, Jen. So what I'm trying to get across is that these are a couple of options that you have with no side effects.
Right.
Okay. Now we understand, and we're living in a society that is based on speed, time. We want the quickest phone, we want the quickest download.
Convenience.
Convenience. We don't want to wait for nothing. That's why they pop a pill. I don't have to do anything else besides put this pill,
it's brainless.
and then I'm gone. It's
Yeah.
effortless, it's brainless, and you have no awareness to now of the side effects. So what we're saying is take a little time, slow it down a little bit, get to know yourself, and you've got a couple of these options that you can use just
That
to
have no negative.
no negative
They're
side
fully
effects.
healthy.
Fully healthy, because what you have to realize is you're not going to be pregnant all the time that you want to have sex. And again, I
Wait,
was saying,
you're not going to be.
I mean, sorry, you're not going to get
fertile.
pregnant. You're not going to be fertile. Sorry, you're not going to be fertile every time you have sex,
Right.
But
right?
that one time.
There's, with the 365 days in a year, there's certain times of that year when you're actually fertile and you can get pregnant. So what we're just doing is bringing some suggestions, some options, again, with no side effects, just taking a little bit of time for you to learn yourself. And, if you execute these, there's women out there that are doing them right now and they're not getting pregnant. A lot of the questions we ask is there a natural alternative to the pill?
Right.
No, there's not. Because even with the herbs that they might talk about, sage, wild yam, and that, what you have to understand, it's still suppressing and it's still preventing the body to do something that it's naturally designed to do. And what Dr. Amsu is actually breaking down is the side effects of when the body that is designed naturally to do a process, and you now have come and you've tricked it and you've disrupted
There are going to
it.
be ramifications.
There's going to be ramifications, and this is what we're trying to educate and inform the people about.
Can I just add on to that as well, and probably piggyback on what Jesse said, Coach Jesse said earlier on about these things are sort of ancillary to our main argument. We are not proposing that we have a solution to contraception. That is not our goal. Our goal is to raise awareness to the side effects, to the damaging side effects of
Yeah.
people who are taking the pill for non-contraceptive reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just sort of skirt back onto some of the social factors in this. We heard as well from a lot of the stories and responses we got back from our initial campaign, how many women take the pill because they want to gain weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the African American community, and you guys can probably
Crazy.
attest this as well, is that
Thick.
they want to be thick.
Right.
They want the booty, they want the breasts,
Hips,
and
the
you know,
thighs.
in I want to say in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, they have something called a chicken pill, right? And the chicken pill is literally the hormones that they feed to chickens to fatten chickens up. Women are taking this pill because they want to develop curves. It's the
At
same
what
thing with the
cost?
contraceptive pill.
Yeah.
They are taking the pill because they want to develop curves, not because of contraception, not even because they're battling any side effects. They may not be cramping, but if they can get the prescription filled to get their contraceptive pill to get curves, they are now introducing these dangerous factors into their life for curves.
Right.
The potential for cancer,
Yeah.
fibroids, PCOS, so on and so forth. So what we're really doing is, I guess what we're trying to do here is not focus so much on the contraceptive part of it. It's a huge question. No doubt you're not going to talk about the contraceptive pill without having to
Absolutely.
discuss that factor. But please understand that a majority, every person, every woman that takes the contraceptive pill is opening themselves up to the things the doctors were talking about.
Now check this out, right? So,
He didn't finish the whole. He didn't finish the part about like vegan.
all right.
Okay, you gotta say that.
Let me,
You
let
gotta
me,
say that.
let me, all
Let
right.
him finish.
All right.
Well, no, well,
You gotta say that thing about like if you are in a situation where it's a matter of it's a speed thing, and there are things to consider. Like there are vegan condoms that are something for you to look at. We're not recommending them, okay? But because some condoms, many condoms have actual what do you call it? They have the
Sperm
chemicals, sperm cells that are very damaging.
Estrogen, they have talcum powder,
They're
which
very
has been-
damaging.
This was
Okay.
one of the number one causes of cervical cancer as well, with talcum powder. That's all over. I mean, they've actually had lawsuits against certain
Talcum
companies
powder,
of talcum
right.
powder.
I mean, all right. Let's talk about this. There are lawsuits against every single type of contraception you can think of. I'm looking at the light,
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah.
All right. There we are. All right. So there are lawsuits going on all the time. You got all right. Depo, right? Depo was developed to fight ovarian cancer. It wasn't a contraception. It was for ovarian cancer. What they found is that the synthetic steroid called progestogen, right? Progestogen, right?
Okay.
It's not naturally produced in the body, but it's introduced to thicken the lining of the uterus, right? And what they found is that it does that secondarily, right? So it's not even supposed to be on the world market. Depo is here in the United States, but it's not in other countries around the world. But they've started selling it
Wow.
to third world countries where they're less educated on the matter, and it's been sold as for weight gain. It's been sold for again contraception, but the damage that it's doing, venous thromboembolism is one of the major things. That's the clotting. The clotting is massive. It's major. So say what you're going to say.
Yeah, just to go back to the condoms as well, containing estrogen. So what happens now when it's inserted into a woman's vaginal, it's going straight into the mucous membrane. So the estrogen is not getting metabolized, broken down. It's going straight into the bloodstream.
Oh.
So now you're becoming estrogen dominant. So
But is the option of what about the vegan condoms that we've heard?
So there's a couple of vegan condoms, and to be honest, there's more further research that has to be
done
right. on that. The couple of options I gave you is really for people that are in committed relationships.
Absolutely.
They're not having casual sex,
Right.
so there's no scare of STDs and things like that.
Right.
But they might not be ready at that time to have a child. Him and her might not be ready in their relationship to have a child, but they're in a committed relationship and they're having unprotected sex. So those options are really for those couples out there like that. For the other females that might be having casual sex, then we're not promoting to have unsafe sex or unprotected sex. We're just saying we'll get back to you on that.
Right. Well, you
No,
want to
I'm
know the
joking.
risk factors, and I think a key thing that we said before is that the way to disease is, it is much more, the things that lead to sickness, let's put it that way. In the short term, they are easier, they're more convenient,
Right.
they're cheaper, and they're more popular. But the things that lead to health, the things that lead to your long-term health are more inconvenient, right? They're less popular and sometimes more expensive. But what we want to help you to understand mindset-wise is that you're worth it.
There you go.
Okay? You're worth it. Your life is worth it. Like the extra time it takes to plan to have sex is worth not now opening yourself up to battling, cervical or breast cancer, right? That's a critical thing that we have to understand. That mindset also is going to help you make healthier food choices. It's going to make you live where you're not living on processed food all the time. You're living with whole foods, things that are feeding your food is actually healing or hurting you. So it's a mentality to choose things that actually heal you instead of things that hurt us.
I think we want to, and I've got to let Dr. Ansu off the lead with this. I think he has to drill home some of the side effects, these health conditions that you women are exposing yourself to by taking the pill, because you don't want to take that time to learn or take care of yourself. Because again, it's really convenient to go to your doctor, get a prescription, get the pill, and then move on, whether you're pursuing a career, whether you're not ready to have a child. But what we're telling you is what's waiting for you down the road. And I'll just say this before you go on that touch. The DMs and the emails that we've received since the Breakfast Club, I'm telling you, there's scary stories, and it's it blew me away. Like, wow. And something that I would like to ask you women who are online now: do you guys discuss this with your girlfriends? And have how come it's never been like, well, when did it start?
Well, that's the thing.
And how
As
did
I
it
was going to
start?
say to you, when I talk to women, they'll say, you know what, I just got off it because I felt funny on it.
Right.
But they won't say, listen, you know what, to the other sister. It's sort of like with fibroids. They won't say, but you know what, you should look at not getting on the pill.
Right.
I was getting I was in the salon the other day, and I hear these women talk, and I had to say, you know what, I have to speak up. I had said, listen to this webinar, go to thedetoxnow.com, download the free webinars, download the free food list, because your food is a critical part of your hormonal balance. The food is a critical part of what's going to help you to regulate your bleeding, because you shouldn't have any heavy bleeding. It's being driven by the stress, the diet, the pollutants. Again, we have the Hormonal, which we haven't talked about at all.
But that's what I want
Hormonal,
to start
I
going
mean, the thing is, look. From the moment we said the World Health Organization classes it as a Group 1 carcinogen, game over. That's it. You're out. Just from that alone, we spoke about the psychological damage, what it does, the neurological damage, what it does, the metabolic damage, what it does, the
I remember you
autoimmune.
saying that women on the pill, and correct me if I'm wrong here, are twice as likely to commit suicide.
Right, the psychological, look, because of the atrophy of neurological glands, it leaves you open to depression, suicidal thoughts, psychosis, right? Look, just that alone should be, now, look, there's two reasons why women are on birth control. One is they don't want to get pregnant. The other is for all the hormonal imbalance. Everything else, apart from don't want to get pregnant, is of a problem caused by hormonal imbalance. We actually have the solution, the natural solution for balancing, restoring naturally, natural hormones, right? So then there are women who are take it for contraceptive reasons, but now they have all the side effects, all the diseases.
Right.
And we're going to call them what they are. They are diseases. Fibroids, PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, right? Endometriosis, infertility.
You haven't even spoken. You see, you're talking about the female reproduction disorders, but even about the digestive system disorders from Crohn's.
Right. So
lupus too.
Right.
Right.
Multiple sclerosis. It goes on and on, because it disrupts your endocrine system. When your endocrine system is how your body communicates chemically, how things are switched on, how things are turned off. You know, everything, growth, decay, you know, everything about you is controlled by your endocrine system. You know, whether it's neurotransmitters or, you know, electrical, whatever, everything about your endocrine system is disrupted when you throw something in that says, all right, switch that off.
Right.
We're pregnant. And remember, we're dealing with synthetic steroids. They're very powerful. So it also throws off, you know, turns on cortisol. Stress. Stress is one of the biggest killers in the world. Yeah. So we're dealing with something that when you put it into your body, you leave it exposed, it disrupts you. Yeah. So we have a solution for, you know, if you are exhibiting symptoms that you have hormonal imbalance and you don't have the full out disease, we have her balance.
Yeah, her balance.
But majority of women who are coming to us for the reproductive disorders and diseases, right? We have a solution for them.
Right. I actually want to talk about testimonies because I think that's people want to know how that works. And if you go to our page, thedetoxnow.com/testimonials, you can see there are women who they're telling you their stories. Where everything from Annalise Henry, who had, you know, and she appeared on the Breakfast Club with us, she had 57 fibroids when she started the program, all right? And I think when her cycle was unbearable, the bleeding, she had to take time off from work every single month, the cramping was so severe, you know, through the coaching to help with the stress, through the nutrition plan, to help with using food as medicine and the herbal supplements, the electric food herbal supplements for the Hope Beyond Fibroids Elimination Program, as well as the daily practices, including sunlight therapy and food, water therapy and sleep therapy. All of those things combined, because it's a lifestyle change. There's no quick fix. It's a lifestyle change when you're talking about literally curing your body of these issues. And through that, she eliminated 50 documented, MRI documented fibroids. We have women who literally started the program, the lifestyle change, literally with one woman. She was changing, her cycle was to the point where she was wearing adult diapers. She had to change them every hour. From her words, you can listen to her testimony. She literally, the headline of her testimony is "Saved My Life." Because she was hemorrhaging. She's bleeding to death every little hour. She would vomit from the pain that was so severe. She was vomiting so much through the first couple of days of her cycle that she had to be put on IV because of dehydration. Okay? So this is very severe. She now is in a place where her cycle was 17 to 21 days of bleeding. She's now down to like 8 days. She's also down to the point where she doesn't have that she's never had to be on IV again. She doesn't have that vomiting. She's even to the point where she can wear panty liners or something. She's like, literally, I got my life back. I was waiting to die. So when you say, so many of you say, well, what do I do? What do I do? We're telling you it's a lifestyle change. We're here to help you. You know, again, listen to the testimonials. Download the free teleseminar because that's a whole teleseminar by itself. Listen to it. Download the free teleseminar to learn more in depth about estrogen dominance. We have those solutions, but the critical thing is you don't think you have options. You do. You don't have to be on the birth control.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off that as well is, you know, who are we talking to, right? So if you look at the gamut of the women that are taking a contraceptive pill, who are being prescribed a contraceptive pill, and going back to the hair salon, where are they learning about this? They're learning about this through their peers, through their mothers, aunties, friends, older sisters,
it was a mother and daughter.
At college. A lot of the women that we talk to, they start taking the pill in their early 20s. As soon as they gain independence, what they feel is independence. So they're being introduced into a culture of taking the pill. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that we need to educate our young sisters, our daughters, because how young are girls being prescribed
14 years old, 13, as soon as they get their menses.
Early puberty, right.
Some of them as soon as they get their menses.
So I think these are the informative years. So by the time you're 19, 20, 21, this is second nature to you. This is what you do. But by that time, you've already had 6, 7, 8 years of building or reducing your resistance to these critical diseases. So what we're doing, we're talking to whole families here. So yeah, there are some smart women out here that listen to this and they're probably throwing away their pills right now into the bin as we speak. But there are a lot of others that aren't hearing this, or even if they are hearing this, they may not have the education, which hopefully they're getting from this.
Right.
We're talking to the whole family. So dad, when you have that talk with him, the birds and the bees talk, be man enough to talk to your daughter about when she's with a boy, about not taking the contraceptive pill. Because, okay, the first thought is, I don't want my daughter to get pregnant. Yeah. That's the number one fear. But do you want your daughter to get cancer?
Yeah.
Do you want your daughter to contract fibroids and PCOS? These are all the questions you have to ask. So the whole family, I'm not saying doing it around the dinner table at Thanksgiving, but wherever you have these conversations, we're trying to educate the whole family.
What you're trying to say is the responsibility doesn't solely fall on that
13-year-old
or that mother of that. It's a joint effort.
But let's talk about the big elephant in the room, is the medical advice.
Right.
Because if you're being prescribed
by the GYN,
right, the OBGYN, the GYNs, the responsibility and accountability needs to fall on them, because they're prescribing this to young girls. They're prescribing it to women because you're a little underweight.
You have to be educated, so you push back. Because I'm going to tell you what happens when the women are educated. Okay?
Go ahead.
Is that they go to the GYN and they say, but you know what? But isn't it linked to this? Then the GYN say, yeah, because I was prescribed to be put on hormone replacement drugs after everything I've been through, right? And when I said, but wait a minute, what about the links to cancer? They're like, oh, yeah, you're right. See, and that's
but this is the thing though. They are obligated, right?
But when you're educated, that's why I'm saying.
All medical practitioners' Hippocratic oath, the safety and health
industry
of the public comes first. Your patient comes first. So you shouldn't have to, really and truly, de jure, you should not have to say, well, what about the cancer? What about the liver problems? If I take this patch, if I go on a patch, I heard it was liver damage, liver failure. You shouldn't have to ask that. You know what we call in London a punter. You're the punter. You're supposed to be green. You know nothing. So you rely. Right, but this is what I'm saying though. The obligation of a medical practitioner is to the patient. That's why we have a major beef with GYNs. Major.
We do.
The gloves are off. I mean, the gloves are off because your responsibility and you should be held accountable when people have these diseases in long term, because majority of our women who are over the age of 25 who come to us with a reproductive issue is because they were on, we're talking like 95%, because they were on the birth control or some form of contraception, whether it was the patch, the injectable, the ring, the IUD, all.
And I was going to say it includes all. Let's be clear, because we get questions about that. Nuva ring, the implants, the patch, the injections, the depot injections, the IUD. Okay, you're like, oh, that doesn't include me. I'm on IUD. All of them have an issue.
Jesse just mentioned unbalance and disrupt the endocrine system because they are producing synthetic hormones in a natural environment, and that's
or preventing the body from doing
the body that's naturally supposed to be doing as well.
Even if you're on an IUD, intrauterine device that is not hormonal and it's just copper. And copper increases bleeding. Irregular bleeding, so which leaves you open to BV, bacterial vaginosis.
Right, and BV is caused by your gut. So it's doing something to your gut. Guess what? Your microbiomes are being destroyed. It's being disrupted by that. So now your gut is open for what they call.
So I'm going to say this. But before
bacteria.
Because they need to know this, is that so many of you have issues and you have questions. And we want you to know we are available for you. So there are consults, there are free consults that I host every week. And then for those who need more in-depth consults, you can do a consult with the doctors. Go to thedetoxnow.com/consult, all right? Because we have the free weekly consult where you can get more questions answered, as well as there are free webinars that we have at thedetoxnow.com /kill the pill. Everything is there, okay? Because we don't want to leave you hanging. It's very important. We want you to know we're here. We're not here to just make you feel like we're taking something away. That's not our job. Our job is to help you to make better decisions for your long term.
Right, and to educate you so you have the information, and information and knowledge is
you're
power.
Empowered.
And this is our motto as electric docs, electric health. Take charge of your life.
Yes.
take charge of your life. Take it back. Don't walk in there blindfolded, not knowing, and relying on someone else to take care of your life.
Yeah.
You take care of it.
Yeah.
Okay? You want to say anything else, Dr. Amsi? Or Mike?
Well, I was actually going to jump back, but I think we're wrapping. I don't want to sort of interrupt the closing statements, but just to jump back very quickly, Dr. Amsi, if you would, just a minute about the GYNs. This education is all about starting a conversation. A conversation not just with the young ladies or the women who are taking the pill, not just with the families of those who are helping them make those choices, but with the GYNs. And Dr. Amsi, you've said in past interviews that so many doctors don't spend enough time learning about nutrition and holistic, or learning about health.
They don't even
holistically.
make that an option.
And so,
in
you know,
conversation.
as much as we're sort of questioning the GYNs and the choices they're making, we love doctors. You know, we totally respect, you know, the effort and the time they've taken to become doctors. But we know full well that they are part of a system that's kind of coercing them and governing them to do things that may not be their personal choice. It's not that doctors don't like their patients or they don't respect or care for their patients. That they're in a system that's forcing them. You know, they've got patients waiting outside the lobby. They're rubber stamping a lot of things. But we also want to create the conversation with the GYNs to look at holistic herbal remedies, for example, for some of their patients. You know, so rather than just
lifestyle change,
introducing lifestyle changes to them. So our doors are open to GYNs also
That's
who want to have that conversation with us. So it's not just the young girls, but it's to everybody who wants to share it.
Well said.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, we're going to wait.
No. So again, this is the Kill the Electric Health docs, Coach Jesse, Michael Larty, excuse me, and we are here again to urge you to kill the pill before it kills you. You know, November 15th is Thanks Birth Control Day. We want to flip that around and say, let's make it Kill the Pill Day.
Like Dr. Amsi was saying,
us.
we want to challenge them.
Join us and with a massive effort to tell your Kill the Pill story. We're building up to November 15th, and we're going to put a challenge out there for you guys to tell your Kill the Pill story. I mean, tell your nightmares. Share just like you've been sharing them with us. Share the nightmares out there. Hashtag Kill the Pill. What the pill is actually doing. Because too many people are actually elevating the pill out there like it's the greatest gift to women. And I understand that women need choice. They need to be able to say, I want to be able to manage my destiny. Well, we've given you options on how to do that in a way that is healthy with no risk of, you know, cervical cancer or breast cancer, no risk of thyroid dysfunction and gut issues and actually promoting your overall long-term health. So we're asking you, you know, we're supporting you. We're here to support you. And we say, join us in this and make November 15th Kill the Pill Day.
Anything you want to say, Dr. Amsi?
My last thing is statistic. I don't, you know, we don't like stats, but 3/4, 75% of black women, African American women, are obese. I'll say that again. 75% of black women are obese. This is down to birth control. Down to birth control. Again, disrupting endocrine, disrupting the thyroid gland. Thyroid gland does not do its job, and it actually will switch off if it's not being utilized. It's like, you don't need me anymore. I'm gone. I'm out.
There's one more thing that's connected also that is disproportionately affecting black women is the risk of maternal death during birth.
Right.
Giving birth. And that's also connected.
Of course.
It's all connected.
Already.
Understanding why are we disproportionately affected by these things?
You know what's funny? You get on birth control for years, and then one day, oh, I want to